welcome to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching. I am the T1D Moms Coach. I'm here to help you manage your mental and emotional health while managing your child's diabetes. 2 of my 5 kiddos have been diagnosed, and so I'm very familiar with your struggles, and I don't know where I'd be without these life coaching tools and the gospel of Jesus Christ to get me through the day and night. Thank you for joining me as we journey towards feeling less scared, sad, and stressed, and start feeling more calm, confident, and connected. Let's get started. All right, welcome back to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. Thanks for listening. This is Emily Wardrop, your host. I just got off a coaching call, and so I am on one. And we talked a lot about mirroring, projecting, judging, all sorts of fun subjects like that. So I thought, why not see if I can recreate the magic and explain all of that again for all of you? Because this is what happens on my coaching calls. I open my mouth and brilliance comes out. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for filling my mouth, because I didn't know that I even thought any of that, let alone. Anyway, it's really fun to be a tool and to be an instrument and to just open my mouth and have the Spirit fill whatever my client needs to hear. And hopefully I can share some of that with you, because I have been thinking about these subjects a lot. In fact, mirroring is a subject that I brought up really early on, probably on a Facebook Live that I did, years ago. And I had a friend that I used to work with that reached out and was like, oh, that's so interesting. Tell me more. And I'm like, just Google it. I'm like, I'll look into it. I'll study it more and then do a podcast about it. And I never did. Well, I did not say do a podcast because I was not podcasting back then. I never really did study it, specifically and get back to her. I just was like, go do your own Google search, figure out what mirroring is. But that's been years, and I've done lots of unintentional studying about it and thinking about it and figuring out how it actually works in my life. So I'm going to share some of that. Projecting, judging, mirroring. These are the things we're going to talk about today. Does all of that sound super fun? Basically, there's clearly I'm no neuroscientist, and so I like to just regurgitate things that I've heard from people who are a lot smarter than me. But there's literally a thing in your brain called motor neurons. And, that too. But there's mirroring neurons, like a mirror, you look in the mirror. So the emotions of the people around you, have you noticed this? Especially if you're a mom of young kids, like your toddlers are pitching tantrums all the time, right? And then you start tantruming along with them. So we talk about a thing called emotional adulthood, emotional childhood. But when you're hanging out with people all day long who are children, it's very easy to slip into emotional childhood along with them, right? Because we come by it honestly. We have mirror neurons in our brains that mirror emotions that other people around us are having, right? So if somebody comes into a room super excited, then you just naturally feel more excited. You pick up on their energy, right? Or if you're feeling good and somebody else comes in and is total downer, then it's hard to stay upper, right? When they're pulling you downer. If emotions were up and down, right? But you've definitely experienced this mirror neuron situation, right? So there's that, the mirror neurons firing and wiring and connecting with each other, which is nice for like empathy, right? Does cause problems though when we're all just pitching a fit instead of someone being in emotional adulthood and being able to regulate and co-regulate and bring the temperature down, right? So the other thing about mirroring is that all of these people around you, all the people in your life, are a mirror to you of what's going on inside of you. So this is a very interesting and fun concept that's fun to geek out on. It's really obvious for me to see it in my girls since I've been noticing this, right? So, well, all of my kids, but I have a couple in particular that just feel like a really, really clean mirror, that there's not a lot of those around here. All of my mirrors, they have toothpaste dots all over them, things like that. They're very clean mirrors. Like I can see myself so clearly in them. is what I mean by that. And so, those are the things usually that trigger you. So if you notice that you're being triggered by something, it's probably because they're acting the same way you would. And it's probably something, a attribute about you that you're not a huge fan of. So I don't like how easily provoked I am, right? Like so easily can be thrown into like emotional fits that do not merit the stimuli, right? And my kids do that because they're kids. And I do that because I'm hanging out with them because they're kids. But also, um, it's just a characteristic, right, of being a human that I possess and that is not that awesome. And I wish that I didn't. And so when they possess it, it gets extra triggering, right? Am I making any sense? And so when they do something that's like so extra annoying, if I can look in that mirror and see, oh, that's so annoying because I do that too. It's like my husband complaining about things that his mom does that I'm like, I know that's annoying because you do it too. Right? Like the things that bug us about other people is probably because we do it too. And extra probably because we don't even like that we do it. And so we're judging that they do it because we're actually shaming ourselves that we do it. Okay. So that's what we're talking about today in judging, projecting, and mirroring. Okay. So I know you know that it's very hard to not judge people. So we're not going to necessarily set the goal at stop judging, right? I mean, Jesus pretty much told us not to judge, but not necessarily like this is the goal. You need to just stop it. He's saying, judge not that you be not judged, because with what lens you see other people, you're also seeing yourself. So it's not that like stop judging people and God won't judge you. It's judge not that ye be not judged. Like just take those lenses off. Just take the judgment lens off completely. Nobody's doing it wrong. We don't have to judge them for being wrong. We don't have to judge ourselves for being wrong. I'm sure I have 75 podcasts about the shame blame trap. So when we do something that we don't like, then we shame ourselves about that, right? And it feels terrible to be shaming ourselves. So then we want to deflect it, right? And we project it on other people and blame other people that they're doing it wrong. Okay. This all sounds very convoluted. It makes a lot more sense when we have specific examples, which maybe I can just kind of anonymously share what I was just coaching on. Okay. So my client comes to me and says, I want to love my mom more. And then she goes into explaining everything that happened over Thanksgiving, and everything she explained was a judgment, right? All the way she's judging her mom. So of course she's not feeling love for her mom because she's judging, right? And judging feels terrible. And so she feels terrible towards her mom. She wants to feel love towards her mom. So we have to drop the judgment. And the way to do that is to realize that nothing's gone wrong here, right? So her mom isn't doing it wrong. She isn't doing it bad. She's just doing it the way she wants to do it. She's just doing what she does. And because we're judging her, we're not loving her, accepting her, honoring that she just does things the way she does them. So we can feel more love towards her by dropping that judgment. And the reason we're judging her, this is what I was trying to explain before, is because we're so used to judging ourselves. We judge ourselves and make it wrong and feel terrible. And that's shame. And it feels terrible because it's a lie. Lies always feel terrible. Okay. So if you're telling yourself, I did that wrong, that's a lie. You just did it. You did it some way, whatever. You had good reasons for it. And probably your brain and your nervous system were, trying to protect you. And so it's fine. You did what you did. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It just is what it is. And so when you drop that judgment of yourself, then you can also give that grace and that, love and acceptance and allowance to other people because you're used to doing it for yourself. Because the judgment goes both ways, right? If you're constantly judging other people, it's probably because you've been judging yourself so harshly. Your brain is just used to it. It's just the lens that we're seeing everyone through, right? So is any of this making sense yet? I'll just keep babbling. Okay. So we project on to other people the things that we don't like about ourselves. And if we can just embrace ourselves and embrace those things about ourselves and just understand we all have a shadow side, it's fine. We don't need to be ashamed of it. We don't need to hide it. It just is our human nature that we're put here in this mortality with, and recognize that we are good, we have eternal worth, and we're stuck in this mortal imperfect state, right? So then we can give ourselves grace, and then we can give others grace, and we can use the mirror that they're showing us to show us things about ourselves that we want to be aware of, right? So we get the awareness, right? Here's our AAA batteries. We're aware of something. So if your kid triggers you, you become aware that that's so triggering because of the mirror that it's giving you. It's something inside of you. It's probably a wound, right? So it's not bad, you're just wounded, right? And you need some healing, and that's totally fine. And so as we think thoughts like that, then we get into our second AAA battery of acceptance. Okay. So we just accept that part of us. We understand that we're wounded, we're broken, we're hurting, we're whatever, and that we're not bad. We just do bad things because we're hurting. Hurt people. Okay. So as if we can accept the awareness that we've just received and not judge ourselves as bad, we're losing our minds on our kids because they're behaving a certain way, because we're beating ourselves up for behaving that same certain way. Are you seeing how this mirroring is working? And so if we can just give ourselves some grace, cut ourselves some slack, then it's a lot easier to have grace and slack for all those around us, right? And then we can go into alignment. We think if we cut ourselves some slack, then we're just going to go off the deep end. But I promise you the opposite is true. When you cut yourself some slack, you're not you're not on the hook. We do want to be off the hook. Let yourself off the hook. Who wants to be on a hook? Okay? So let yourself free to be who you really are. Forgive yourself quickly. God forgives you. Ask for forgiveness and forgive yourself. And then it's a lot easier to forgive everyone else. You don't have to make them wrong because you're not wrong. They're not doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. We're all just a mess. And it's fine. It's all part of the plan. Okay? So that's the way you drop the judgment of yourself, of everyone else. Just realize that it's all part of the plan and it's fine. And then we can project love onto other people. Okay? That's the goal, right? Is that we want to feel love and connected to our family. And am I ever going to bring diabetes into this, you're wondering? Sure. All of these concepts always apply to specifically our diabetic child, right? We've been talking about connection for cooperation. We've been talking about dropping power struggles. What we want is a connected, loving relationship with these kids, but we have this constant battle that we're fighting with diabetes. We're not fighting with our child. And so if we want to love them, understand them, connect with them, all of these principles apply there too, right? And so we're going to project love onto them instead. So we really have to fill our own cups. Like when I say you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of your diabetic kid, I'm not talking about, well, I am talking about like trying to get some sleep and like literal like physical self-care, also emotional self-care. You've got to love yourself in order to have any love to give. If we're approaching these power struggles with just hate and irritation and frustration and all the blah, right? Versus love and connection and acceptance and all the things, right? And so that's why I focus so much on these like emotional and spiritual even and mental support, because once you are filled, then it's so much easier to take care of your diabetic kiddo, right? So instead of mirroring them, they're freaking out that you have to do whatever, like give them shots, change their insulin pump, whatever you've got to do. They're freaking out. You don't have to mirror that freak out. You can calm yourself, calm your own nervous system. In fact, last night we called Dexcom because our thingies were, malfunctioning, whatever, as we're trying to deal with all the stuff, right? And so the Dexcom support lady was on the phone while I inserted her new sensor. And so she starts screaming and crying, and oh man, the Dexcom support lady could not handle it. So she actually like works for a diabetic supply company and could not handle the screaming child. I just thought it was funny because, we have to deal with this day in and day out. And I mean, clearly it's not funny. It's heartbreaking, right? But yeah, we can love and care about our child and get their needs met, right? That are not always pleasant. Okay, so that was a lot of blah, blah, blah. Like I always say at the end, none of this makes any sense until you actually get on a call with me and we plug in your specific examples. So head to dropthewar.com/appointments and you can sign up for a complimentary coaching session. I would love to meet you on Zoom, get to know you, get to know your diabetic kiddo. We'll talk about all the things and get you some relief right away. Okay, so I will see you there. Thanks for listening. Bye. Hey, T1D moms. Was that episode helpful? I put together a free video for you with my top 3 brain hacks for T1D moms. Check it out at dropthewar.com/top3. Having a child with diabetes is hard enough. Let's not make it any harder with the way we're thinking about it all. Get my free top 3 brain hacks for T1D moms video at dropthewar.com/top3. See you there. Hello, my sweet T1D parent friend. The next time you catch yourself thinking that you can't do this anymore, redirect your brain to Philippians 4:13 and remind yourself that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. As your life coach, I'm here to be a conduit to help you get your brain and body aligned in order for your spirit to clearly communicate with His Spirit to become your own diabetes parenting expert. Go to dropthewar.com/appointments for your complimentary coaching session, and let's do this thing.